Joining us now, Democratic Congressman Jason Crow of Colorado. Good to see you. Putin said a ceasefire would be good for Ukraine, implying maybe it's not in the best interests of Russia. I wonder if you think there is a deal to be made and what has to happen to make it happen.
Well, this war has to end, and like most wars, it will probably end at a negotiating table at some point. But we also happen to know who it is we're dealing with Vladimir Putin. He's been around for decades. And what we absolutely know, anyone who's paying attention anyhow, is that you shouldn't pay attention to what Vladimir Putin says. You should pay attention to what he does, and that he rarely honors agreements. He rarely keeps his word. He's somebody who only understands power and strength and only does what he is forced to do. So this administration has weakened our hand. They have weakened our relationship with Ukraine. They've weakened our alliances. They've pulled back our support for Ukraine, which has put Russia in a better position. So it's my hope that they can reassert some of that pressure and get us on the trajectory for a negotiated end here.
So you know a little bit about War and Peace. You were a ranger who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. In the Oval Office today, Donald Trump was asked about this. He said he thinks he has leverage. He doesn't want to talk about exactly what leverage. But he said he believes once a deal happens, I don't think they're going to go back to shooting again. And our NBC News chief foreign affairs correspondent Richard Engel visited the front lines in Ukraine. And I want to play some of his conversation with a soldier there.
Are Ukrainian troops ready for a ceasefire?
Yes, we are ready, says Andriy, a former cook whose wife and daughter are refugees abroad.
Everyone is waiting to see if Putin will also agree. What do you expect?
Russia's commitments are not worth the paper they are printed on.
So in spite of what we heard from President Trump just an hour ago, do you believe there is reason to believe that Putin would abide by the terms of a deal if there is one?
Well, that Ukrainian soldier seems to know more about Vladimir Putin and Russia than President Trump does, because like I was just saying, Vladimir Putin, rather, and Russia will do only what they are forced to do. Right? Any agreement has to have teeth, it has to have enforceability, and it has to have consequences so that if he pulls back or doesn't honor the agreement, those consequences would immediately step into effect. But, you know, what Donald Trump has done is tantamount to walk into a car lot and hand your wallet to the car dealer and say, you know, I'm gonna leave here with a car. I'm absolutely gonna buy a car from you. So let's make a deal now. You give away all your leverage and your bargaining position. It's not the way to actually strike a deal. You know, Donald Trump has always said he's this great deal maker, and you know, somebody who has declared bankruptcy 6 times and has a bad reputation within the business community is probably not the person to listen to here. So all of that said, I do hope that this works, right? Like I want peace. The Ukrainians want peace. It will be in everyone's best interest to have peace, and nobody wants peace more than the Ukrainians do. So let's figure out how to make it happen, but it has to have enforceability.
Let me ask you about the battlefield reality, because there is reporting about much of the area of Kursk was taken from Ukrainian control. Again, President Trump was talking today about, you know, some questions about who gets what, including a power plant. How complicated does that make the situation right now?
Well, the whole situation is complicated, right? That's always the case with foreign policy and national security issues. Anyone who says that negotiating the end to the bloodiest war since World War II in Europe is going to be simple, then they're just not paying attention, right? There are land concessions, there are land issues at play. There's the return of tens of thousands of Ukrainian children that Vladimir Putin and Russia have kidnapped from Ukraine and have put into re-indoctrination camps to brainwash them. There's the issue of having security guarantees, whether that means, you know, European troops or something in place that would prevent an additional invasion of Russia. There are a lot of pieces to this, and that's where diplomacy comes into play. But you have to enter this always from a position of strength, and this administration has reduced our standing in our alliances, which are our greatest source of strength. So I really hope that they can get it back on track, because everybody's interest would be better served if they did.
We only have 30 seconds left, but let me ask you really quickly. But the fact that they have regained some of the territory, Russia has regained some of the territory, does it make an already complex situation even more complex?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. Vladimir Putin thinks he's in the power position right now, and the cutoff of military support and intelligence sharing by this administration has put him in even more of a power position, which makes it tremendously more complicated and harder to get a deal done here.
Representative Jason Crow, it's always good to have you on the program. Thank you.